Tonight what I'd like to do is to call to order the public hearing for the City of Olean Fair Housing Annual Meeting. At this time, I will turn it over to Carrie Kirk.
Thank you. Public notice, City of Olean Fair Housing Public Meeting. Please take notice that pursuant to Fair Housing Law, a public meeting will be held on April 22nd, 2025 at 6 p.m. in the council chambers of the Olean Municipal Building. The meeting facility is handicap accessible. The purpose of this meeting is to provide the public with information on fair housing. The city encourages public attendance, comment, and participation in the meeting. Notice is hereby given that the city is reaffirming its commitment to furthering fair housing. The federal fair housing law, as well as the laws of New York State, prohibits discrimination from any property owner, landlord, property manager, or other person in relation to the sale, rental, and financing of dwellings and in other housing-related transactions because of certain protected characteristics, which include but are not limited to race, color, religion, sex, including gender identity and sexual orientation, familial status, national origin, and disability. The City of Olean, pursuant to fair housing policies, has appointed a fair housing officer, Community Development Program Coordinator Carrie Kerper, who may be reached at the Department of Community Development, Olean Municipal Building, 101 East State Street, Olean, New York, 14760, 716-376-5647, or kkerper@cityolean.org, or you may telephone the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development toll-free at 1-800-669-9777, or TTY line 1-800-927-9275.
Okay, thank you so much. Anything else, Carrie?
Just as some background, the City of Olean adopted our Fair Housing Plan on April 26, 2017. I review it annually and review and revise as necessary. I don't have any proposed revisions for the public, the mayor, or the council this evening. And I just want to give a little bit of background further that our Fair Housing Plan was developed to further fair housing in our community, to ensure that our residents are aware of fair housing provisions under federal and state law and the process and assistance available to obtain compliance with the existing statutes. Please open it up for public comment if anyone has any comments or questions.
Any comments or questions from the council? Okay, seeing none, what I'll do is I'll open it up for public comments as it relates to this public hearing. So the comments are to address the fair housing annual meeting. So at this time, any members of the public that would like to talk about the fair housing, please approach the podium. You state your name and address, please, for the record. Anyone? Anyone? Okay, at this time, I will call the public comment hearing closed. I'll make a motion to adjourn. Could I get a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alderwoman McCall. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Carrie. Call the Ordinance Committee of the Whole for Tuesday, April 22nd, 2025. Let the record show that all aldermen are present. PL 47-25 by Mayor Olean to authorize the creation of Capital Fund 251, Water Reservoir Cleaning and Inspection, to authorize the transfer of funds from line item 8340.447 into a newly created capital fund. Mr. Mayor?
Yes, as you're all aware, we set money in the budget to inspect and clean the reservoirs, and we'd like to move that to the capital account because we're not going to get that done within the time frame of our budget.
Comments or questions? Alderwoman McCall?
Do we have a time frame for completion?
Of that,
Yeah.
I don't have an exact time, but it's not going to fit within this budget, current budget year, so we want to put it in a capital account as soon as we can get it done.
Other comments or questions? Seeing none, we have a motion?
Motion.
What's that?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, motion is made by Alderman Anastasia and seconded by Alderman Benyon. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried, and is referred to the regular meeting. PL 48-25 by Mayor Elio to authorize the transfer of $4,694.46 of uncommitted program income from New York State administered CDBG grants currently on hand from the first-time homebuyer account to Capital Fund 165, the Louis Mignano Fund, for the purchase of ADA picnic tables in various city-owned parks. Mr. Mayor?
Yes, this is money, we did a similar thing last year with money that was from this home buyers, this money that's been refunded to us. So we'd like to, we've had many requests for ADA picnic tables in our parks. We thought this would be a good place to place the money so we can get picnic tables for our parks.
Comments or questions on this? Seeing none, could I get a motion? Motion is made by Alderman McCall. I'll go ahead and second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried and is referred to tonight's regular meeting for resolution. PL 49-25, Mayor Elio to declare the month of April 2025 as Fair Housing Month in the city of Olean. Anything there, Mr. Mayor?
We just carried this, we just did the public hearing. There'll be a special proclamation that Frank will read and to declare April Fair Housing Month in the city of Olean.
Okay, so we'll hold the proclamation for the regular meeting. Comments or questions on this one? Can I get a motion? Motion is made by Alderwoman McCall, seconded by Alderwoman Forney. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried, and is referred to tonight's regular meeting for resolution. Next, we've got PL 50-25 by Mayor Elio to authorize the city auditor to bond for the Marcus Park Capital Improvements Project. Mr. Mayor?
Yes, we're moving forward with that project, so we're gonna have to have the funds in place. As everyone knows, when we accept grants, we have to front the money. So, we have to have this in place so we can move forward with the project.
Okay. Comments or questions? Alderman Anastasia?
The other thing I'd like to ask is, I thought we were like $500,000 short funding. Did we come up with that someplace, or?
We have reached, we're approximately $200,000 short. And we reached out to the county and we're waiting for a response from them.
Alderman Robinson?
I just wanted to say I'm looking forward to this project getting started.
Anyone else? Okay. Seeing none, can I get a motion?
Motion.
Motion is made. I'll go ahead and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried and is referred to tonight's regular meeting for resolution. PL 51-25 by Mayor Elio to authorize the city auditor to bond for the William O. Smith Recreation Center Pool Rehabilitation Project. Mr. Mayor?
Yes, similarly to Marcus Park, we received funding from the state to renovate the pool, and we have to front the money on this. Another one, we have to front the money, so we want to have money in place so we can get the project started.
Comments or questions on this one? No comments or questions? Motion is made by Alderman Benyon. Do I get a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alderwoman Forney. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried and is referred to tonight's regular meeting for resolution. I'll make a motion to adjourn. Do I get a second? Seconded by Alderwoman Forney, McCall. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Call to order the regular meeting of the Common Council for Tuesday, April 22nd, 2025. Will the clerk please call the attendance roll?
Alderman Benyon?
Yes.
Alderman Panis?
Here.
Alderwoman Forney?
Here.
Alderwoman McCall?
Here.
Alderman Robinson?
Here.
Alderman Anastasia?
Here.
And President Crawford.
Here, please rise for the invocation of the pledge of allegiance.
Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us to engage in meaningful discussion, allow us to grow closer as a group, and nurture the bonds of this community. In your name we pray.
reading directing approval of the minutes of the previous regular meeting.
The regular meeting of the Olean Common Council was held on Tuesday, April 8th, 2025 at 6:20 p.m. Present were Alderman Crawford, Benyon, Panis, Forney, McCall, Robinson, and Anastasia. None were absent.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the previous regular meeting. Could I get a second? Second by Alderman Benyon, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Committee reports and unfinished council business.
None.
Communications from the mayor.
We have a special proclamation to recognize Fair Housing Month. If the clerk would read it, please.
Special proclamation to recognize Fair Housing Month. Whereas the Fair Housing Act was signed on April 11, 1968, and added to in 1988, making the principle of fair housing not only federal law and national policy, but a fundamental human right and entitlement for all citizens. It requires that all federal programs relating to housing and urban development be administered in a manner that affirmatively furthers fair housing. Whereas this law, and as amended, as well as the laws of New York State, prohibit discrimination from any property owner, landlord, property manager, or other person in relation to the sale, rental, and financing of dwellings and in other housing-related transactions because of certain protected characteristics, which include but are not limited to race, color, religion, sex, including gender identity and sexual orientation, familial status, national origin, and physical or mental disability. Whereas the need for shelter is one of the most basic and fundamental human needs and plays a pivotal role in ensuring a safe community, the right freely to choose a place to live is a basic human right, and discrimination in housing-related activities is not only against the law, it goes against the principles of our city, state, and country, and ensures the well-being of our community. Whereas Fair Housing Month provides an opportunity to highlight the importance of housing, reaffirm the city's commitment, and recognize all neighbors, businesses, property managers, and owners who reside in our community, acknowledging their vital contributions as well as the richness engendered by the mix of young and old, male and female, disabled and non-disabled, people of all colors, ethnic and cultural backgrounds, and religious traditions in our community. Therefore, I, William J. Alio, as mayor of the city of Olean, New York, on April 22nd, 2025, do hereby proclaim that the month of April 2025 is to be observed as Fair Housing Month in the city of Olean, New York. In testimony thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused to be affixed the seal of the city of Olean, the 22nd day of April 2025. For the city of Olean, New York, William J. Alio, Mayor.
I have the proclamation, which will be given to our Fair Housing representative, which Carrie Kirker, tomorrow. Okay, thank you. Now we have the Western Region Bowling Competition that was held in Chickawaga, New York. We have the New York State Special Olympics team here from Olean, and I have certificates, and I'll read them here and what they won. So if you'll come up when I call your name, we have Nancy Abbott. She was a bronze. Congratulations. A bronze medal. Okay. We have Christopher Chase. A silver medal. Anna is a gold medal.
Thank you so much.
Jeffrey Felt, fourth place ribbon. Willie Fye, fourth place ribbon. Congratulations. Josh Gagliardo, gold medal. Matt Herbert, bronze medal. Nicole Herbert, bronze medal. Stephen Hornaday, silver medal. Congratulations, Stephen. Thank you. David Jones. David here? Okay, David Jones is a gold medal winner, so we'll get that to him. Matthew Mitchell. Matthew here? Matthew is a silver medal. Good job, Matthew. Larry Ordway. Larry is a silver medal winner. Larry, good job. Thank you. Jasper Overmeyer. Bronze medal. Brenda Slade. Brenda. A silver medal. And now I'd like to recognize Dr. Carl Case. He's one of the coaches. Marsha Case, also one of the coaches. Thank you. And Jean Gagliardo. She's another one of the coaches. Good job, Jean. Good job. And Carl, can you get this stuff? Sure. David Jones, okay. All right. Congratulations to all and good job.
Okay, congratulations to all. Carl continues to do a great job with this group, and looks like the group is growing year after year. So you're really developing a winning record, and winning team. So great job. Thank you. All right, miscellaneous communications.
Done.
City official reports.
Monthly report of the city auditor, month ended March 2025. Fiscal summary as of March 31st, 2025. Fiscal stress report, fiscal year June 1, 2023 to May 31st, 2024. And environmental stress report, fiscal year June 1, 2023 to May 31, 2024.
Proposed legislation referrals.
PL number 47-25 by Mayor Halio, referred to Committee of the Whole, April 22nd, 2025 by Council President. PL number 48-25 by Mayor Halio, referred to Committee of the Whole, Tuesday, April 22nd, 2025 by Council President. PL number 49-25 by Mayor Halio, referred to Committee of the Whole, Tuesday, April 22nd, 2025 by Council President. PL number 50-25 by Mayor Halio, referred to Committee of the Whole, Tuesday, April 22nd, 2025 by Council President. PL number 51-25 by Mayor Halio, referred to Committee of the Whole, Tuesday, April 22nd, 2025 by Council President. PL number 52-25 by Mayor Halio, referred to regular meeting Tuesday, April 22nd, 2025 for resolution by Council President. PL number 53-25 by Mayor Halio, referred to regular meeting Tuesday, April 22nd, 2025 for resolution by Council President.
All right, at this time, I'm going to make a motion to suspend the rules. Can I get a second, please?
Second.
Second by Alderman Robinson. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion, I'm gonna make a motion to move the public comment to after the resolutions. Could I get a second, please?
Second.
Second by Alderman Robinson, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Finance and bills.
The auditor has processed bills and claims against the city of Olean as per list submitted to each alderman and recommends payment thereof. Whereas the auditor has presented to the common council bills and claims against the city of Olean totaling $4,939,922.68 for the budget and recommends payment thereof. Now therefore be it resolved that the same be and are hereby audited and allowed. And the auditor is hereby authorized and directed to draw warrants for the payment thereof at the amount set opposite each respective claim.
Okay, we've all received copies of the finance and bills. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, could I get a motion? I'll make a motion. Could I get a second?
A second.
Seconded by Alderman McCall. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman Benyon,
Yes.
Alderman Panis,
Yes.
Alderwoman Forney,
Yes.
Alderwoman McCall,
Yes.
Alderman Robinson,
Yes.
Alderman Anastasia,
Yes.
and President Crawford.
Yes.
Bill passes unanimously.
Resolutions.
Resolution number 36-25, PL number 36-25, to amend the City of Olean Code of Ordinances, Section 13-263, to amend the license fee for peddlers to $12 per day, and 13-283, to amend the license fee for vendors to $20 per day.
Okay, talked about this during the budget process. Comments or questions? Seeing none, could I get a motion? Motion is made by Alderwoman Forney, seconded by Alderwoman McCall. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman Benyon,
Yes.
Alderman Panis,
Yes.
Alderwoman Forney,
Yes.
Alderwoman McCall,
Yes.
Alderman Robinson,
Yes.
Alderman Anastasia,
Yes.
and President Crawford.
Yes.
Resolution passes unanimously. Resolution number 43-25, PL number 43-25, to amend the City of Olean Code of Ordinances, Section 2-177, to require city financial books to be closed out with any adjusting entries made, as well as final financial statements to be delivered to the Common Council by September 1st.
Okay, so this is a recommendation for best practice, so we can, obviously govern and make informed financial decisions. And so, any comments or questions on this? Seeing none, I'll make a motion. Could I get a second, please?
Second.
Second by Alderman McCall. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman Benyon,
Yes.
Alderman Panis,
Yes.
Alderwoman Forney,
Yes.
Alderwoman McCall,
Yes.
Alderman Robinson,
Yes.
Alderman Anastasia,
Yes.
and President Crawford.
Yes.
Resolution passes unanimously. Resolution number 44-25, PL number 44-25, to amend the City of Olean Code of Ordinances, Section 2-40, to amend the order of the Common Council agenda, as well as to amend Section 2-60 to limit the time for public comment to 3 minutes per person.
Okay, this has been talked about now for a number of weeks, and it's something to look to improve some meeting efficiency. Any comments or questions? Alderwoman McCall.
So I agree. I think that we should move it to the end. I also agree with the time frame. However, I think we shouldn't piecemeal it. I think that we should take our time to put together comprehensive changes that we need to make. It hasn't been updated in a long time, or maybe even ever. So that's just my recommendation for this.
Okay. Alderman Anastasia.
The other thing I was gonna add is, first I was gonna vote against this until I reread it. I don't care if they talk before the meeting or at the end of the meeting, but, because I just want to let them have transparency. But I see in here, if they go over 3 minutes, we're allowed, if a council member decides that they need more time, you can make a motion to allow them more time if it's pertinent information. So I think that's good, and I'm glad that's in there, so like I said, I don't care if it's in the beginning or the end, as long as they have the opportunity, so I will be voting for it too.
Just to clarify, any motion would have to be backed by a vote of the council.
Right, that's what it says.
Okay, yeah, just,
And that's currently been in there too, Dave, just for that time extension.
yeah.
Time extension, yeah.
Time extension's always been in there.
I didn't know what. Learn something.
Okay. Alderman Robinson?
I just want to piggyback off of Alderman McCall that I agree that I did not or do not want to piecemeal this, but I'm not opposed to starting the process now. As you know, just like any other PO, we can always go back and amend and change things. So I will be voting for this.
All right, I'll make a motion. Could I get a second, please?
I'll second.
Second by Alderman Robinson. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman Benyon,
Yes.
Alderman Panis,
Yes.
Alderwoman Forney,
Yes.
Alderwoman McCall,
No.
Alderman Robinson,
Yes.
Alderman Anastasia,
Yes.
President Crawford.
Yes.
Resolution passes 6 ayes, 1 nay. Resolution number 45-25, PL number 45-25, to amend the City of Olean Code of Ordinances, Section 2-176, to enact stipulations for sales tax projections in annual budgets to not exceed 98% of the sales tax actually received during the previous calendar year.
Okay, this has been talked about during the budget process, kind of a trial and error, and so we thought that it would be a good expectation to set 98% as a little bit of a buffer, if you will, and see how that goes. So this is just cleaning up something that we had initiated a couple months back. Comments or questions? Okay, seeing none, could I get a sponsor, please? I'll make a motion. Could I get a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Alderwoman Forney. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman Benyon,
No.
Alderman Panis,
Yes.
Alderwoman Forney,
Yes.
Alderwoman McCall,
Yes.
Alderman Robinson,
Yes.
Alderman Anastasia,
Yes.
and President Crawford.
Yes.
Resolution passes 6 ayes, 1 nay. Resolution number 47-25, PL number 47-25, out of committee by Alderman Anastasia, seconded by Alderman Benyon. Resolution authorizing the transfer of funds from line item 8340.447 to newly created capital fund number 251.
Okay, just talked about this. Comments or questions? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman Benyon,
Yes.
Alderman Panis,
Yes.
Alderwoman Forney,
Yes.
Alderwoman McCall,
Yes.
Alderman Robinson,
Yes.
Alderman Anastasia,
Yes.
and President Crawford.
Yes.
Resolution passes unanimously. Resolution number 48-25, PL number 48-25, out of committee by Alderwoman McCall, seconded by Alderman Crawford. Resolution authorizing the transfer of funds from the first-time home buyer account to capital fund number 165.
Okay, talk about this one. Comments or questions? Seeing none?
Yep.
Alderman Robinson.
Just for the record, this is the second time that I recall us doing this, and because this is for first-time home buyer, I would really like to see, I don't know, maybe more advertisement on this so that this money could get utilized in what we're receiving for.
I think the program's done.
Oh, is that what
So
it is?
there's some remaining funds in that program that's
Right.
now being moved into the Louis Mignano Fund.
How much does the fund start with? Does anyone know?
Wasn't that was interest or something that was recollected, wasn't it, off payments, but that was that.
Oh, is that what it is?
We can follow. We can
Yeah.
follow.
If I remember correctly, Vernon, we before, it was stopped, but there were some payments that still had to come in that would have left some interest. And I believe that was what that is right there. So
Okay.
that should be the end of it.
Okay,
But I believe that program was dropped.
okay.
Tiffany, is that correct?
That's-
It's not completely right yet. We still have people making payments.
Correct.
Still making
So we don't
payments.
have
So
another
we're
fund
not
to
giving
get that.
payments out.
Okay,
So the funds that come in, we're moving it over to,
Yes, that was the,
yeah.
so that was the same situation as last year then, just
Yes.
payments that came back in, okay, okay. I retract my statement.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Okay, seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman Benyon,
yes.
Alderman Panis,
Yes.
Alderwoman Forney,
Yes.
Alderwoman McCall,
Yes.
Alderman Robinson,
Yes.
Alderman Anastasia,
Yes.
and President Crawford.
Yes.
The resolution passes unanimously. Resolution number 49-25, PL number 49-25, out of committee by Alderwoman McCall, seconded by Alderwoman Forney, to proclaim the month of April 2025 as Fair Housing Month in the city of Olean.
Let's talk about this one. Comments or questions? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman Benyon,
Yes.
Alderman Panis, Alderwoman Forney, Alderwoman McCall,
Yes.
Alderman Robinson,
Yes.
Alderman Anastasia,
Yes.
and President Crawford.
Yes.
The resolution passes unanimously. Resolution number 50-25, PL number 50-25, out of committee by Alderman Robinson, seconded by Alderman Crawford. A bond resolution dated April 22nd, 2025, of the Common Council of the City of Olean, Cattaraugus County, New York, authorizing the Marcus Park Capital Improvements Project at an estimated maximum cost of $2,148,105, and authorizing the issuance of serial bonds in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $2,148,105 of the city pursuant to the local finance law to finance such purpose, such amount to be offset by any federal, state, county, and/or local funds received or appropriated, and delegating the power to issue bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the sale of such bonds to the city auditor.
Okay, comments or questions? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman Benyon,
Yes.
Alderman Panis,
Yes.
Alderwoman Forney,
Yes.
Alderwoman McCall,
Yes.
Alderman Robinson,
Yes.
Alderman Anastasia,
No.
and President Crawford.
Yes.
Resolution passes 6 ayes, 1 nay. Resolution number 51-25, PL 51-25, out of committee by Alderman Benyon, seconded by Alderwoman Forney. A bond resolution dated April 22nd, 2025, for the Common Council of the City of Olean, Cattaraugus County, New York, authorizing the reconstruction of and construction of improvements to the pool at the William O. Smith Recreation Center in the city at an estimated maximum cost of $977,158, and authorizing the issuance of serial bonds in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $977,158 of the city pursuant to the local finance law to finance such purpose, such amount to be offset by any federal, state, county, and/or local funds received or appropriated, and delegating the power to issue bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the sale of such bonds to the city auditor.
Comments or questions? Alderwoman McCall?
I just was I wanted to remind the public that we did receive from New York State, but I could not remember the total amount that we received in terms of rehabbing the pool.
800,000?
705,000.
Thank you.
When will this be complete? Next year?
Most likely, yes.
And the splash pads are still on schedule for this year?
We'll have a complex.
Yep.
It may, to correct that, it may be completed this year, but not in time to open it up for swim season.
The pool.
The pool.
Alderman Benyon.
Yes.
Alderman Panis.
Yes.
Alderwoman Forney.
Yes.
Alderwoman McCall.
Yes.
Alderman Robinson.
Yes.
Alderman Anastasia.
Yes.
And President Crawford.
Yes.
Resolution passes unanimously. Resolution number 52-25, PL number 52-25, approving the mayoral appointment of James Sprague as Director of Public Works.
All right, so for the council to discuss this, I'm going to make a motion to enter into executive session to discuss the employment history of a particular person leading to potential employment. Could I get a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alderwoman McCall. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. We'll be right back. Okay, we're back at it. All right, so for consideration of Resolution 52-25, PL 52-25, approving the mayoral appointment of James Sprague as Director of Public Works. I'll make a motion. Could I get a second? Seconded by Alderman McCall. Any comments or questions? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman Benyon,
Yes.
Alderman Panis,
Yes.
Alderwoman Forney,
Yes.
Alderwoman McCall,
Yes.
Alderman Robinson,
Yes.
Alderman Anastasia,
Yes.
and President Crawford.
Yes.
Resolution passes unanimously.
James is in the crowd.
James is here. Welcome aboard, Mr. Sprague, Director Sprague. And so we've got a lot of projects obviously going on, a lot of, certainly a lot of passionate individuals here with a focus on our sewage discharge issue and our water infrastructure and all the different roadway projects. So on behalf of the Common Council, I'd like to congratulate you and welcome you to the city of Olean.
Thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to the challenge. I'll be here first thing tomorrow morning, we'll get to work.
Okay, so did you, everybody, all right, get your list ready? All right, every pothole, every tree branch, every street sign, okay? Make sure you have a list on,
You on our email system already?
Tomorrow. Tomorrow.
Thank you, Mr. Sprague.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Clerk?
Resolution number 53-25, PL number 53-25, to authorize the installation of a memorial bench for Kathy Marzek in Lincoln Park.
Okay, Mr. Mayor?
We discussed that last week. And, this is something that Kathy devoted a lot of her time to, not only the memorial in the park, but also on the gardens. And this will be a nice tribute to her from her family, recognizing her efforts to beautify Lincoln Park.
Okay. Comments or questions? Got a good motion?
I'll make this.
Motion is made by Alderman Anastasia, seconded by Alderman McCall. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman Benyon,
Yes.
Alderman Panis,
Yes.
Alderwoman Forney,
Yes.
Alderwoman McCall,
Yes.
Alderman Robinson,
Yes.
Alderman Anastasia,
Yes.
and President Crawford.
Yes.
Resolution passes unanimously.
Okay, so that's the end of resolutions. So now I will ask the clerk to please read the public comment statement.
The public comment portion of the Common Council regular meeting is established to provide members of the community with the opportunity to publicly state their views, voice their concerns, or to provide input pertaining to any issue affecting city government. Additionally, the mayor, Common Council members, and city department heads encourage any person with questions to contact them at their offices.
Okay, before I open public comment, I'd like to give an opportunity to any of the aldermen to make a statement at this time. All right, at this time, I will invite members of the public to approach the podium, state your name and address, and for the record, please, you'll have 3 minutes.
Good evening. I'm Kelly Jocelyn. I live in the town of South Valley. And I just wanted to speak briefly tonight to thank the members of the council and the mayor for the steps that you have taken on the issue that we have all been here to discuss for so long. I'd also like to thank the members of the council who came out to speak to us after the meeting. I think it went a long way to letting people know that we're here to have a good communication process and that you were listening and that you reached back to us really made a difference. So thank you. Thank you.
Glenn Wall, Little Valley. I've spoken to you about the sewage discharge problem about 25 times over the past 14 months. In every one of those speeches, I made far more negative statements than positive ones and have criticized, rightfully, more than I have praised. Tonight's speech is different. In the past few weeks, the city has finally made some movement towards fixing the discharge problem. First, the Seneca Nation has formed a joint task force with the city. The nation will ensure that the progress gets made relatively quickly. In addition, they have a large set of skills resources, such as grant writing, that can benefit the process. Plus, they have already established communication with the DEC Commissioner, Governor Hochul, and the EPA about this matter to help bring their expertise and oversight to bear. At the press conference on April 16th, President Seneca stated that he expects the timeline to be made as short as possible, weeks and months rather than years. 2, the city has finally applied for an engineering grant. I criticized the mayor for earmarking $50,000 of the city's money to hire a consultant when there were many grants available from New York State. 3, the city is actively testing drainage basins to determine which are tied to the sewers and which are properly connected to the stormwater system. That's the crux of this, and that will help guide the city to either decide towards containment vessels near the lift stations or getting the houses to segregate their water. 4, the city is improving the information posted about the sewage problem, and though it's not well organized yet, it's a good start. I'd like to see some recent developments put on there. I would also recommend that if you have your IT person, put a Q&A section in where individuals could ask pertinent questions and city staff could answer them. Transparency is important. That's why a couple of months ago I was disappointed that the superintendent of water and sewer did not respond to a simple emailed question. Then a few weeks later, the mayor's office also didn't respond, and so I finally had to file a Freedom of Information Act request to get it answered. Let's hope the days of that kind of secrecy are over. One last bit. John, at the last meeting, you stated that the city has not had a sewage discharge since last June. Well, true, that's not because the city has done anything since then to actually reduce the discharges. It's totally because of luck, and luck isn't a good thing to rely on when there are proven technical solutions available. In fact, even with all the good news these last 2 weeks, none of that has really improved the situation, but hopefully you will be able to improve that very soon through your actions. Today is Earth Day. Not necessarily a happy one. We were warned not to let the CO2 equivalent get above 350 parts per million. Today it is at 430 parts per million. And obviously all the natural ecosystems, like the Allegheny River's ecosystem, already have a lot of stressors on them. So the fewer stressors we can add, the better. Thank you.
Good evening, Aldermans, Mary Olean and President Crawford. My name is Madison Brown. I'm 20 years old. I'm a resident of Salamanca and a member of the Seneca Nation. Behind me is Jillian Ray. She's also 20 years old. She's currently a student at St. Bonaventure and also a member of the Seneca Nation. She bravely stood up after you just lowered the public comments from the normal 5 to 3 minutes. As I prepared for the allotted 5 today, she bravely stood up and wanted to finish my letter today. I've been coming to these meetings since March 11th, and today I wanted to put into perspective the timeline of actions thus far by the city of Olean. But while drafting this, I also felt the urge to explain to you my 20 years of life and what growing up on the Allegheny River was, and what your neglect has done to me and my community. I grew up fishing and exploring the Allegheny, or as how I know it, the Ohio. I'm proud to be connected and to know my ancestral land, as many do not have the privilege. My people and my ancestors raised me to be proud of my home and what its land provides, and to protect that. At the bright age of 10, I was told during the peak of walleye season that we wouldn't see the rest of the season, as the city discharged over 60,000 gallons that year, disrupted the blooming of medicines, poisoned our fish with contaminants, and pissed in the water that gives life to the inhabitants of the Allegheny River Valley. At 13, members of my community stood up against the Colder Sport Area Municipal Authority and the Epinephrine Allegheny LLC, where we had placed the city of Olean under our wing as we took action against the fracking wastewater treatment facility in Colder Sport, PA. We advocated for clean water that flows through your city and through our backyards, while simultaneously the city was discharging wastewater themselves. In my senior year at Salamanca High, the seniors were tasked to draft a letter to our government officials in our government and economics class. One of my peers, Piper Deneen, sent a letter to Mayor Olean asking him to prevent the future discharges into the Allegheny River. She was not sent a response, but a cease and desist. She was sent a cease and desist. The leader of Olean would rather take action against a barely 18-year-old than to solve an issue that has been his responsibility since he was elected mayor. Later in that same school year, the city of Olean discharged over 100,000 gallons. In my time researching and organizing on this specific issue, it has become apparent that Mayor Ole does not like confrontation. As a leader, you avoid to address the issue. And then on the other hand, Chairman John Crawford, on the other hand, in the March 11th Common Council meeting, you said, and I quote, "water expenses aren't getting any cheaper," end quote, and came prepared to the March 26th meeting on your research on grants to acquire surveillance in the city of Olean, stating it was as simple as a search on the internet, following the Seneca Nation's offer to utilize our community planning grant right.
I've known this issue my whole life, and I want you to think, should this next generation know your city, the city of Olean, as the city that poops into the Allegheny? I want to address my appreciation to the efforts to work with the Seneca Nation and establish the task force. The task force, myself, and many of the attendees pleaded for over a month ago. But that appreciation is only to the leaders who want to solve this issue. Let's put that into perspective. The Seneca Nation still wants to work with you even after you put undercovers in the audience during the March 26th meeting after the Seneca community showed up at your doorstep earlier in March. Even after you just spent $3.1 million in our face to provide recreational facilities to your city while you continue to be complacent in the harming of Mother Earth. Follow the lead that the Seneca Nation is paving for you, and let's put our personal differences aside and find a solution. Ask your businesses and residents to be compliant with your city ordinance or identify something that can provide momentary support. Or I will look into other leaders on this council and say run against these men in June and November, because Channel 2 wouldn't be in Olean unless it's for mayor's re-election campaign. And it's a shame that you think you can profile us the way you have and expect us to want to work with you and share the resources we can properly manage, unlike your $7 million in bonds. Happy Earth Day and Yahweh.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Danielle Heron-Lovell, and I reside in the city of Salamanca. Through many of these speeches over the last several weeks, you've probably heard water is life and water is medicine, but I want to share with you a specific story from my family that exemplifies that. My grandfather was George Heron, former president of the Seneca Nation, and he was in World War II, where he was a decorated veteran. He saw action in 3 different theaters: the Mediterranean, the European, and the Pacific. When he came home, prior to that, so he was a pharmacist's mate. And what that was at the time was a physician's mate in the Navy. So you can just imagine the horrors that he saw brought on his ships that he had to deal with every day of World War II. When he came home, he had so many feelings and so much anger and so much hurt and so much pain. And what he did is he waded into the Ohio. And he let that water rush over him. And he let that water heal him. And to take all of that away from him, so that way he could go on and he could serve his community and his nation, which he did as president of the Seneca Nation during the Kinzua era and later on. My family takes that story and we take that experience, and now having to look at the river with all of this discharge in it, there's no way I can tell my daughter back here safely to go heal in that river as her great-grandfather did. I don't feel safe going into that river to heal as my grandfather did. Finally, I also want to introduce myself as the Director of Community Planning and Development for the Seneca Nation. It is my grants team that has been offered over to you. I have 4 grant writers that are exceptionally talented and a grants researcher that does nothing but look for opportunities. I welcome the opportunity to work with the City of Olean and allow us to use our expertise and resources to help solve this issue. Thank you. Mr. Mayor, Council, my name is Piper Van Ord. I'm from Warren, Pennsylvania. I'm going to stick to this because I'm a talker and the 3 minutes has a lot of pressure here. I've spent the last 19 years helping hundreds of thousands of people of all skill levels and ability make a meaningful connection with nature through canoe and kayak trips on a 107-mile stretch of the Allegheny River. Last summer, I started to get questions about raw sewage discharge and whether or not it was safe for people to come and paddle. For obvious reasons, I had to respond to each of them, and I want you to understand my response. This is what I had to copy and paste 67 times in the summer of 2024. What's happened in Olean, New York is disheartening to say the least. They are long overdue to figure out what the problem is and fix it. With that said, we are thankful their inaction has to travel 42 miles downriver, then enter a lake that is 33.09 square miles, 21,080 acres, with 91 miles of shoreline and a depth of 130 feet in spots, traveling another 20 plus miles to reach Kinzu Dam. We don't take their lack of action lightly by any means, but we're grateful to live in a community that celebrates and cleans our river every year. To see all our excellent water quality indicators, hellgrammites, 7 endangered mussels that thrive, stoneflies, these critters let us know our stretch of river is healthy and clean every day. Please don't mistake my speaking tonight as a judgment or a bashing. I cannot imagine being in any of your shoes. I don't claim to have the answers. I don't even claim to know what the questions are. These folks have a lot more knowledge than I do. What I do know is that one of the great loves of my life flows through your town. The Allegheny has given me so much over the past 19 years as it slowly flows downriver through my hometown and behind my home. Laughter with my children, solace in very hard times, physical challenges to test my mettle, curiosity of its inhabitants, solid footing in times of confusion. It's been the catalyst for many friendships that I hold very dear, and many, many stories that have made my cheeks hurt from laughter of my aunts and uncles as children and young adults along its banks. I have always had so much respect for our river and tried to give back to her to keep her beautiful each day so she can be just as loved by those generations that will stumble upon her long after I am gone. All of you are very important, every single one of you. You have the power. You have the power to make the decisions to stand up and to do the right thing. Please don't give up. Please don't give up. All of the communities, including ours downriver, we are all counting on you. Thank you.
Sago Sebo Guego, Oneyo the Go Youngyats. Nuo Waniza Leo. I said, hello everyone, my name is Oneyo the Goa, and today's a beautiful day. It's a day that we honor the earth that we all partake in. And just a little introduction about myself. I'm a student at St. Bonaventure. I'm an environmental studies major, and I hail from Tyendinaga Mohawk Reservation up in Ontario. While I don't live in Allegheny, it's kind of become like an adopted home to me. The people of the Seneca Nation have taken me in, and I've been able to participate in harvesting of animals and been invited to do things like fish in the river. And as an environmental studies major, I find that it's an important thing for me to advocate for the discharge that's being dumped in the river as being something that isn't right. And to kind of touch on the topic, this isn't just your community dealing with the issue. It's a nation-to-nation thing, and we have treaties that go back to the beginning before your country was even existing. The Turo Wampum, talking about your nation and our nations moving together in unity to be able to live a life in agreement. And the dumpage of discharging sewage into the river violates that, because now you're stepping into our boat and you're violating that treaty that you guys agreed to when you came here, and we taught you guys how to live off of the land. So I think that it's important to know, not as somebody that's coming here to just start a problem. It's important to recognize the fact that there are treaties that our people have with you and your country, our two separate nations, that go back before the founding of this town, before all that sort of stuff. This river existed before you guys even came here. So I just wanted to touch on that and let you guys know that me as a Mohawk, I come from the same confederacy as the Seneca Nation. They're the keepers of the western door, we're the keepers of the eastern door. And I speak for my home, my family, when I say that I disagree with what's going on, and if there's anything that we can do more than what we're doing here, let us know so that I can do my part as an environmental studies major to get something going here. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Earth Day, every day. Chris Chessie, 213.5 Tompkins here in Olean. And as you may recall, Choctaw, here to support my brothers and sisters from Seneca. And remind you all the numbers and how we prioritize health and safety. While your numbers are prioritizing parks and pools, restorations, having nothing to do with the health and safety on the table. Now, before today, the numbers I recall were approaching $4 million for recent appropriations in bonds raised to pay for parks and pools for the 14,000 residents of Olean to look upon while we suffer the health and safety issues that you must acknowledge you're ignoring. Today, if I am correct, you've appropriated $3 million for parks and pools. That total approaching $7 million for non-health and safety issues such as the beautification of parks and pools for the 14,000 people of Olean who have complaints regarding the water treatment toxicity, and the millions of people downriver of Olean between New York and Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, who have come to you repeatedly to complain about the health and safety that you've acknowledged and ignored. Thank you for the task force. Do not let this be your laud, your laurels in preparation for the coming elections. This will not save you. Inaction will not save you. $7 million on parks and pools will not save you. And it won't save us either from the health and safety issues that you're continuing to ignore by prioritizing parks and pools.
Hello, my name is Sarah Redeye. I live here in Olean. I just purchased my first home here last year, and I just wanted to come up and do something I don't normally do. That is stick up for myself and stick up for my family. I want to ask my new mayor to please take any opportunity you can to fix the wastewater issue. And I'm not sure if any of you have ever been down the river on a kayak or anything, but it's absolutely beautiful. And like she was saying, it is medicine. So if you haven't, you're really missing out. I would recommend you try it. And I just want to say thank you for everyone who wants to show up and say something today. And if you're nervous to come up here, please just do it anyway. I'm having an anxiety attack, but it's okay. I want to stick up for this. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Barbara Discant, and I haven't prepared much today. I'm humbled by what other people have said here. And I'm a grandmother, and having passed 70, I feel even more responsibility to speak for life, to stay ongoing. And I know that central to life is the river, the water. We all depend on it. It nourishes us. We need to nourish it as well and keep it clean. I think it's a complete tragedy. I, like many others, all my life have jumped in water to clean myself out. Literally, if I feel in a bad mood, jumping in the water. If I feel, and I know it just does this for everyone. And in addition, I've become very aware, especially in knowing more of the Senecas, that the river is an entity in itself that's worth preserving for itself, not only for us. And it's that source that I'm speaking for today. I feel, as I said, people have said everything I've wanted to say. I want to support them, and I do want to thank you, Mayor Elio, and for joining with the task force to starting to take care of this. I think it's a huge step, and I want to give you my gratefulness. At the same time, I just want to make sure this continues. Throwing, polluting water is, I hate to use the word abomination, but it is. It's what feeds us. And throwing that poop down the river to our neighbors is just inexcusable. I have little words for this, and all I want to say is, now that you've got that task force, you have everything you need to clean this up. We can't wait to 2045 or whatever that deadline we got given. The time to start on this is now, and I'm going to keep coming back. Grandma Barbara says fix it, and fix it now. And I know I'm speaking for others that this needs to be done. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Clint Nephew. I'm a tribal counselor with the Seneca Nation from the Cattaraugus territory. Probably want to change just a little bit. First, I want to say Nali Scano to y'all, which I'm thankful you are well. I want to change it a little bit. I'm really appreciative to see our future, whether they're Mohawk, Seneca, Cayuga, Oneida, Onondaga, whatever they might be. And to have the passion that they do is really, it really makes me feel great. We have our differences at times, and I get that. But the one thing that helped me was about a week ago, 2 weeks ago, I got asked to go to St. Bonaventure to talk to a group of students, just kind of on the fly. And so I did. I wanted to share with you maybe what drives me, or maybe what makes me so angry about this. And I appreciate the kids from Bonaventure. If you haven't seen the movie Lake of Betrayal, please watch it. It's a true story on the building of the Kinzua Dam. And where the Kinzua Dam was, is where Seneca territory is underwater.
You said
lake of betrayal. Where that was, we lost our land. When you watch the movie, you'll realize that the Seneca Nation, it was one of the worst travesties in American history that's never been written. It's not in your history books. You'll see people dragged out of their homes and their houses burned behind them. You'll know the sorrow, and you'll hear the heartache of people that actually died from heartache of being removed from their land by the United States military to build a dam to protect Pittsburgh. And we lost that land, so where the lake is at now is all Seneca Nation. Those ancestors are still there. I have ancestors that are there. It's deeper than what we talk about with the animals, and we talk about the fish and all of that, the organisms. That plays a big part into it. But what drives me, what I found, is that my ancestors are still there. My ancestors are still buried there. And I take exception for what's being discharged and being placed on my ancestors. I don't think anybody here would appreciate that if we did that to your families. It's unacceptable. I believe in the task force. I believe in our president, J.C. Seneca, who's created that and worked with the mayor. And maybe at the meeting, you might have seen me be a little bit short and leave with the nation meeting with Olean. And part of the reason for that is that really burns me inside. It hurts me because no matter if you're Cattaraugus or Allegheny, we have family who's still there and they still exist. I don't want to get gavelled again, so I don't have to get too deep into this. But it hurts deep, more than you guys will ever know, to many of us. I see it in our elders. Now I see it in our kids. I don't get too shook up about much. I was just showing one of my co-counselors. I apologize for going over. There was a picture from 1962 of where my grandfather stayed down at Corn Planter, which is underneath water. That bothers me. He's not there. He wasn't buried there. He died after, but he would have been there. And that bothers me for the family that I do have. And those families that are still there underneath that water and what is being pushed and discharged down to them. It hurts me so much because of that. And I want to share with you as a group what's burned me inside, maybe why I got angry with you. Maybe why I got angry with the Common Council. I still take a step back because when you watch that movie, you realize, me as a person, I don't have a lot of faith in the government. I don't. And I'll tell you one thing, there's things that happen here, the undercover police, I've mentioned that before, that hurt me to know that our neighbors would do that because of what they maybe thought about us. Now I see this happening, but I also understand that I have to educate you too. And by sharing this and telling you this story, I hope it drives you harder to want to rectify it. It means the world to all of us because we all have family there and we all hurt. I hate to say this, but I don't usually cry about anything, but I actually am. And I'm thankful for our people who are here, whether they're native or not. Today is Earth Day, but more than that, I see unity of people. I believe that this can be fixed. I want you to fix it. I'm sorry for being jaded sometimes, but I just want to make sure that it's being done. But when you watch that movie, you'll see why we feel that way, because we've been treated so poorly at times.
Where would you find this movie, on YouTube?
You can come down to YouTube, and then I think they have it at the museum as well. But when you see that, you'll understand. It hits right in here. And instead of using this, we're trying to use this.
Thank you.
But sometimes it's very hard. No.
I'm Leslie Logan. I'm from the Seneca Nation. And first I wanted to just acknowledge my fellow Seneca citizens and our young people for having the courage to come forward and stand up and defend the Ohio. I also want to commend the city leadership as well as the Seneca Nation's leadership for being willing to come together in a spirit of cooperation to hopefully resolve this issue. I'm a writer, and I started to do some research of my own so that I could tell the story fully, and found that the limited information that's available indicates that the problem was certainly well before 2000, well before 1998, and even went back as far as possibly 1934. So if we're talking 1934, that's 90 years in which our waterways have been contaminated and damaged. And this is far too long. I understand that the DEC, the new commissioner, has indicated that the amount of time that the city had been given in this consent order was an unheard of amount of time, and that she was going to amend that. And so I'm comforted by that. But it's really amazing that all of this time would go by in which this was taking place, all of this harm to the water. And going forward, even more time has been allotted. That's not only unheard of, but it's untenable, it's unacceptable, and it's unbelievable. So I hope that with our two leadership, with our two parties coming together, can get this done in a reasonable amount of time. I know that you've heard a lot of comments from our Seneca people about how important the water is to us. And you're going to continue to hear that. Because what I'll leave you with is that we're not going away. We're not going to be silenced. You're going to keep hearing from us. And we're not going to be satisfied until this is resolved. Thank you.
My name is Caleb Abrams. I'm a citizen of the Seneca Nation, member of the Wolf Clan, and I grew up in Salamanca. I grew up on the Allegheny territory. And I'm going to piggyback a little bit off of what Leslie was saying. I know that the documentation says that the discharges began in 2001, right? That's the agreed upon start date. And when that, in 2001, I was in elementary school. And I'm now a father with kids of my own. And to recognize that amount of time has passed while this has continued to be a known issue, unacceptable doesn't quite meet the moment. I am grateful that a task force has been created and that there is some intention in this room to meet the moment. But that the establishment of that task force is only the first step. And I'm very eager to know what the next steps are going to be, and that this be addressed in terms of weeks and months. I forget who said that, but that's the timeline that we should be thinking about here. We can't go in that river. We can't use it the way that our ancestors did. It's not safe because there is raw sewage being discharged into it. It's really, I grew up in Allegheny, but I don't live there these days. These days I live in Ontario, I live in Canada, and coming home is something of an emotional experience for me, to come back to my community, to come back to my people. And the name for our territory, as you have all come to know, is Ohio. That is the place that we come from. The Haudenosaunee people, our names for ourselves, Anondawaka, means people of the Great Hill. We identify ourselves by the land that we come from. the Mohawk, Gunyakahaga, are the people of the Flint, because that's where they come from. What Clint was saying resonates with me very deeply. This is more to us than just the discharge. But honestly, that's enough. That it is unacceptable. And I'm grateful to you to be listening, and I'm looking forward to what comes next. Thank you.
I'm just going to be real brief. I'd like to thank you all for coming together for the task force for the Seneca Nation. I'd like to thank the Seneca Nation for always coming to these meetings and for showing up. You're showing up for your people, but you're also showing up for citizens of Olean. Please don't make the task force thing just a photo op. We're going to need to see results and transparency and accountability to the Seneca Nation. I thank you all. Okay. I hope you guys can get this solved.
Anyone else?
Neowiscano. J.C. Seneca, Seneca Nation, Cattaraugus Territory. Good evening, Council. Mr. Mayor, good to see you again. You know, our ancestors are crying. Our ancestors are with us, with our people. They fought so hard to provide us with what we have today as Seneca people. And it's up to us to make sure that we do the work necessary to maintain that and to provide for the generations to come of our people. We are standing right now on Seneca land. This is Seneca territory. We expect those that are here today to be the caretakers of our land along with us. That's what we expect. And that's what we demand. You see in this group out here tonight, week after week, month after month, they protest. They come here, speak out. That's the reason why. Because the land is so important to us. The land is everything to us. The environment. Trauma has been a part of our life, seems like forever, since the settlers first came here. The events, if you just go back 60 years with the Kinzua, what happened there? The trauma that was inflicted on our people. You know, the New York State Thruway, Route 17 out here. You can go on and on. West Valley, the pollution of the Cattaraugus Creek, the pollution now of the Allegheny. These things have to end. There's opportunity now for Olean, for this council, for this leadership to move in a different direction. Together, working with the Seneca Nation to find resolution to this situation. It's up to you. This council, how do you want to be remembered? I think you'd want to be remembered as a council that took action, that moved in a positive direction, that worked with the Seneca Nation to fix this problem together. We don't want to be in Olean's business, but you know what? It's our business now. Pollution has got to stop. We will not put up with it. You see the crowd out here today? You can expect it to be bigger next time if nothing is done. This task force that has been put together will do its work. But the results of that work have to end in a solution and a fix to this problem to be able to move forward and take care of it. It can be done. The money's available.
the plan needs to be put in place and a process on how to fix this. I believe it can be done. I commit to that work in regards to helping and working with the city of Olean, working with the mayor and the task force to put that in place so that we can end this and move on and build better relationship between us, Olean and the Seneca Nation. So I look forward to that, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight and to speak with you. And thanks for having your listening ears on. I can see you all up there, listening to everybody that's speaking, and I appreciate that. That means a lot. So let's get this moving forward. Mayor, I'd like to set up a meeting next week with the task force, if that's possible. We can communicate and get that set up for our first meeting to get this going. So I look forward to that. I know you guys appointed a new Director of Public Works tonight. That's good. That's a move in the right direction. That's a move and a step forward. And I look forward to working with him as well as the other members of the task force. So appreciate it, and we'll talk soon. Many knowledge.
My name is Joseph Hill. I'm a member of the Seneca Nation and an attorney. And I'd like to talk about something else that was talked about very briefly, and that is treaties. I've done a lot of water protection, North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, and felt bad at times that I wasn't doing it at home. Here I am. One of the most beautiful aspects of any of those fights to protect our water, and I mean your water as well, because when we started setting up our own water protection services on our res, it wasn't just to keep our water clean, it was to keep downstream water clean. And it was to hold the feet to the fire of other governments that needed to keep their water clean. So I would ask, and what was talked about was treaty partnership. And what that means is that we're not just the holders of the treaties. You are also parties to those treaties. And your families, I'm certain, would like to recreate in those waters, would like to fish in those waters. So as those waters are kept clean, they're done so for your family and for my family. And I have a really big family. Because when I talk about family, I don't just talk about my immediate family or my extended family or the nation. I talk about other nations that we have treaty partnerships with. And we are all working very hard to protect our waters from all kinds of extreme extraction. This is an easy one. This is an easy fix. But I would also say this, there are mechanisms in statutes like the Clean Water Act that can be used. Hopefully we won't have to do that. We become partners, as our president, Mr. Seneca, stated. We need to work together. But if we don't, a young child who's injured by going in that river could bring a lawsuit against the city of Olean for not cleaning it up. So with that, I'll end, and thank you.
My name is Flip White. I'm a Seneca Nation citizen of the Wolf Clan.
And I have to say, this whole thing this evening, this gathering, this meeting, it feels really good. There's a lot of help being offered. People are telling you what has happened to them, some of the really dramatic, not dramatic, but horrendous things that we've gone through as a nation, that river, Kinzua, all of those atrocities. And here we are with a good mind saying, let's get together, you guys, let's fix this. If there's a target for us, it's we have to regain a level of trust between our communities. And we have to have a confidence in this task force that their intentions are the best, that those on that task force are using their best minds, that they're thinking right, let's say strategically, and that everything that we're doing there, the process has to be right. And you're on your way. You got this task force. It's a collaboration. Straight up. We got to learn to work together. And when I thought about bringing some water and asking you to drink it tonight from the river. But then that's my bad mind. So being a good mind, you have to understand in this. We have to come to an understanding, and it's based in our beliefs. What you might believe, what we believe as a society, as a nation. What we're doing is only for the children. You have to ask yourselves, what are you leaving for the children? All children, the grandchildren, the great-greats, and it goes on and on. Because we're here, and as our primary responsibility is to secure a future and a place for the children. And we have to have that good mind and that discipline and the idea of a whole humanistic community working together to that end. We believe she's female. We believe that we have to make sure we protect her regenerative abilities. We believe that everything within the entirety of creation is alive. And we believe that it's all family. And family doesn't hurt each other. So I commend everyone, commend your committee. We appreciate it, but I would just say, let's go to work, okay? Let's get it done. Now,
Yawiskano, good to see everybody. Happy Earth Day. It was a good day today when we had so many community members, Seneca Nation members, young children, our elders care about the Allegheny River so much that they had to bring awareness to the city and to this meeting today. And I've been to many meetings, and I'm about facts. And you probably heard them before, and I'm not sure if everybody heard them before, and it's about the administrative order of consent, the AOC, that the New York State gave the city of Olean to come into compliance with the wastewater system. The order gave the city an unprecedented 41 years to come into compliance, what makes it the year 2042. That's unacceptable. And I told the story a few weeks ago on March 19th. Several of my colleagues who are in the audience today, President Seneca and a few councilors, went to Albany and talked to the New York State DEC Commissioner, Amanda Lefton. And we explained about the city of Olean and the neglect of upgrading the wastewater system. We told the story about raw sewage being discharged into the Ohio, our mighty Allegheny River. Every time there's a heavy rain, we worry about it. Last night I was worried. All that heavy rain, oh my God, are we gonna get that message that there was another overflow? Since 2007, 50 incidents have occurred. Since 2018, 1.1 million gallons of raw sewage have been dumped into our beautiful river. The New York State DEC Commissioner, Amanda Lofton, stated there are several tools in the city of Olean, and they have a tool belt, and they have many things to utilize, and they have not. And I told you guys that a couple weeks ago. Meanwhile, the city of Olean spends $250,000 annually for sewer work compliance. I think I understood that right. On January 6th of this year, the city of Olean was awarded $25 million for upgrades and 2.5 miles of West State Street for roundabouts and bike lanes. Why couldn't these funds be allotted and be identified to fix the wastewater system? I'm glad to see our planning director, Danielle, here today. She has offered help, and the Seneca Nation has offered help within the last year. We won't do your job, but we can help. Seneca Nation built an 11-story, 212 hotel room resort and casino called the Seneca Allegheny Casino in Salamanca. We managed to contain the wastewater. Now there's a task force formed, and I'm appreciative of that. I talked to the mayor personally about the task force, and he agreed to get some work done. And I'm glad to see our president stand up here and say, let's get a meeting and let's get it done. It's great news, but to me it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out what needs to be done. It's about the money, putting the money in place to fix the wastewater system. As a grandmother and mother and an aunt, and I had 3 generations out there that care about the Allegheny River, I just ask you to do this and fix the wastewater system immediately. Put it on the top of your schedule. We put it on the top of our schedule, and we're willing to help. We're good neighbors. Yahweh.
My name is Deb Jimerson. I'm from the Seneca Nation of Indians, Allegheny Territory. The one thing I haven't heard tonight is regarding the earlier meeting of March, when Councilor Clint Nephew attempted to read a letter from our president, J.C. Seneca. He was disrespected and disregarded. They did not want him to finish. He insisted. I thank him for that. Would you have showed such disrespect to any other president from a sovereign nation? Do you not recognize that we are the Seneca Nation of Indians? I am so happy that you have changed that rule. I don't think not one has been gavelled today. Good job. Keep up the good work. Just show some manners and some integrity. Thank you.
My name is Mary Moses, and I reside on Allegheny Reservation. And I just want to say to the mayor and all the council members that there is a spark of hope with that task force and other things going along with that task force. It's a big thing for us, as you have already known from a couple of meetings from the start. I was thinking about this for a few months, and And the only thing I could come up with was the hesitation on why nothing's been done. Of course, you were given till 2042 to correct this problem, which I hope you don't. We cannot wait that long for that. That river cannot wait that long. I only can think that we only had one discharge in '24, so maybe you're all thinking that, magical thinking, that this won't happen again for years and years. Well, there's a thing called climate crisis, and it's very real, and we all should know about that. It's real now. So all these rains and snow and heat, sleet, and everything will be coming down more potent because of what we're doing to the planet here, human beings. This is Earth Day. I remember when it was created in the early 70s. I was quite young then, but I joined up. And I went to meetings and places where like-minded people were. We did a terrible job with our environment. Worldwide, what's winning is big business, because they have the authority and they have all the power. But I'm just saying that you have in your hands the power to at least clean up, to not clean up, but to prevent another spillage. This is in your hands now. Don't wait till 2042 to get going on it. This needs to be addressed. And I won't be around 2042 if it lasts this long. I hope not. I'm an elder. I hope to be here and speak and be across the street and in this courtroom. Thank you for your time.
Juego. My name's Odie Brant Porter. I've been stood before you before. Thank you for the opportunity to meet with you this evening. And I want to talk a little bit. I don't want to lecture you, but I do want to tell you a little bit about the Senecas, because this is a really good opportunity for you to learn a little bit more about who we are. And as you might know, there are 3 territories that we have that where we have inhabitants. The Allegheny Territory, which has 30,000 acres, and it goes right along the Allegheny River. So if you're trying to figure out why is the river so important to us, it's important to us because it's really one of the few land bases that we have left. It's 30,000 acres, and then as we talked about earlier, the Kinzua Dam took 10,000 of those acres. And the river, as it goes through, once you see the sign, by the junction, and then it goes all the way down to Steenberg, the river's in one area, but it's 1 mile on each side. And that's really pretty much the Allegheny Territory. It's very precious. It's very, there are so few Senecas, and there's such a small land base that we reside on. And there are 8,500 Senecas. Half of us live on our territories. And that 30,000 acres, when it was reduced by 10,000, was from the Kinzua Dam just 60 years ago. So as we sort of start thinking about problem solving, there are going to be a lot of us that are not going to let up the pressure. It's really important to us to get the solution, get the plan together, and start executing that. And there are those in the government that are going to try to help you with that. We do have resources. You did meet our planning director, and we just didn't get a chance to meet your director of public works, but James Sprague, I hope he's a civil engineer, and he's a magic maker, because that's what we're going to need. And we're going to need to have this on a schedule. We're going to need to have it on a timeline, and we see that you're capable of doing projects because we just saw 2 projects getting approved. I think that's a good thing. You want to do better for your people, just as we do. But we also want to take care of the things that aren't as exciting. Wastewater is not exciting, but it's necessary. And it's really important that we get that resolved as soon as possible. So I look forward to the mayor. I'm really glad that you are going to have a meeting next week with our president and the task force. And I hope that you do come up with that 90-day plan so that we can get some resolution to this immediately. This isn't something that we can wait for, and it's not something that you should be tolerating either. So thank you. We look forward to working with you.
Yahweh Scano, and dig up and no nuts. Today is Earth Day. That's a big deal for me. When I speak of the earth, our mother, that's a mother we refer to the earth as. It's a personification from our story of creation that began. Now, wouldn't you, as a mother, as fathers, uncles, sons, grandfathers possibly, do everything within your power to protect your family? Would you not? If somebody was going to cause physical harm to anyone in your family, especially your mother, your father, your grandmother, why don't you stand up? Why don't you stand up and defend them? This is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to fulfill my role and my responsibility as a human being in protection and the caretaking of the natural world. And it's going to get tougher for me. You see me come in here and scold you guys, try to remind you guys of your roles and responsibilities. You have constituents. Our president spoke to you and told you that this is our land and reminded you this is our ancestral territory. And it's become your responsibility for the caretaking of it, and we're looking for you to uphold that responsibility. Because things are going to get tough. We got brothers and sisters over in Arizona right now fighting Oak Flats for a copper mine, for a man that we call Hanyan. That's the first name it gave to George Washington. That translates to town destroyer. Wonder why we gave him that name? Because that's what he did to us. Pillaged, raped, plundered our lands. Here in Ohio, they didn't make it here. This is the stronghold. This is the stronghold. I will not allow any encroachment upon my lands, upon my territory, upon my family. It's our mother and the waters and everything that they provide. All that crawls, slithers, walks, swims, flies. Take that relationship and personify those elements. And from that, you'll build a relationship. So I'm looking to you to continue upon this path that you guys have forged, this collaboration that you have initiated with our administration, our executives. I just highly encourage you to continue. Yahweh.
Hello, my name is Linda Logan, and I'm an elder, and I reside in Salamanca. And I want to appeal to you all tonight about the legacy you want to be remembered by your families, your children, your community, the future generations that you are here representing, and our future generations. And you know, we live in we have a lot on our plates today. But, and it's hard to define heroes. It's not really hard to define heroes. We see heroes as firefighters, as policemen, as our military servicemen fighting on our behalf. And I would like to appeal to that legacy you want to leave for your descendants. Be one of the heroes that cleaned up the rivers right there that we live, that is right there in your backyard. And I want you to be able, your children and your grandchildren, to say, my mom, my grandfather, my dad was on that council that led the way for cleaner waters for our community. That's all I have to say.
Hi, my name is Wendy Oldshield. I'm from the Wolf Clan, and I live on the Allegheny Reservation. I'm a mother, I'm a grandmother, and I'm going to be a great-grandmother. I'm having 3 great-grandchildren born in this 1 year, and I'm so happy about it. But I'm worried. I'm worried for their lives. I'm worried to think about what's going to happen in the future. Are they going to be able to have clean water? Is that going to be something I'm going to have to worry about? The river is 325 miles long. It serves over 1 million people with drinking water. And I don't know if you're aware, but our body is at least 77% water. Everything in our body runs by the water that we take in. And that's really scary when you think about what they have put in our waters. We're finding out fluoride isn't good for us. And what else? I don't know what you guys all add to your waters, but it's scary. And to think that now we have sewage in it. When I was young, we played by the water all the time. And I can remember at 9 and 10 years old, trying to play in the water and poop flowing down on the waters. We'd have a raft and we'd be trying to get it off the raft. And this didn't happen all the time. I'm in my 70s. So if you can think how long that has been that the water has been getting sewage into it. Now, every year I took care of my granddaughter. They went down to the river and played all the time. When she was 14, I had to tell her, no, you can't go down there anymore. Please don't go down there anymore. They wanted to swim. Well, you know how kids are. They did. And they got sick. And I was really worried. And she didn't really go in. She put her hand in. And she had an open on her hand. And she got it infected just from getting the water on it. I had to tell her from then that she could not go down there anymore. They weren't allowed to play in the water. Now this has been happening, and she's 25 now, and she still can't go down there. We can go fishing, but can you eat the fish? No. Maybe once a month. You're allowed to eat fish, the fish for one time a month. If you eat it, you can get sick. Well, we don't need this anymore. This has been happening way too long, longer than 2001, and you guys need to fix it. Like I said, I'm a great-grandmother, and I really want to see my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren be able to live here and enjoy the waters. Thank you.
Before we adjourn tonight, I want to give an opportunity to the Alderman to make a statement. Personally, I want to thank each and every one of you that came forward and shared your truly heartfelt stories and your emotional just insight with us on behalf of the council. I'm especially appreciative of Councilman Nephew's story. That was truly mind-opening, okay, so an eye-opening, so I do appreciate that. On behalf of Mayor and myself, I look forward to working with the other joint task force members, not only for the benefit of our community here, but certainly as a benefit of our neighbors, and hopefully to heal all of our communities. And I look forward to seeing that 2042 date be let's see if we can't, significantly beat that. And that would definitely be something that would be meaningful for all of our future generations, my children included. Any other, Alderman Robinson?
Thank you, John. I don't want to go too long or too much, but I do want to thank the Honorable J.C. Seneca for coming and representing the Seneca Nation and speaking on behalf of your people. I think that is very important, and that also helps to bring everyone together for a common cause. I wrote numerous notes. I think it was very informal, very informative night. There was a lot of information shared that I can almost guarantee no one on this council knew anything about. But one note that I wanted to read off that really made me touch tonight was the fact that I wrote down, adore the fact that the youth of our new generation is speaking for what they believe. I think that's important. I've always believed that was important. I've always pushed my children to speak up, especially for their elders. So I know some left, but congratulations to you guys for speaking up for your elders.
Anything else? Okay. Alderwoman McCall.
So I too want to thank everybody who's shown up and shown up and shown up and shown up. While it's not easy to sit here and know that there are things that sometimes feel out of our control or that we have little control over, trying to figure out and find a path forward to rectify long-standing issues that, while they predate many of us, all of us actually, in terms of the beginnings, that doesn't negate our responsibility for rectifying it now. I appreciated having the opportunity to go with the mayor and our director of water and sewer, Brad Camp, to meet with the president and the councilors to be able to look towards a solution, and I appreciate that. I think sometimes we don't know what we don't know. And we don't always have to go out. We don't have to go out sometimes, it feels like, to find out information, but we should. And we appreciate the information providing to us because each one of us has a story about our ancestors and things that bring us great joy and great pain. And generational trauma is something that those of us who work in the field of mental health or homelessness or any program get glimpses of. And I appreciate the recommendation of watching the movie. I know that is just a glimpse into one of the many travesties and tragedies of all nations. And so I appreciate the information you guys have provided us. I appreciate the challenge to make it so that our children say we are the ones who fixed it. I'm sorry that it took us so long, but as I always say, the only thing we can be is a better version of ourselves tomorrow. So we appreciate your patience, and I appreciate the task force and moving forward. So thank you.
The other thing I'd like to say too is I agree with what the comments the other aldermen have made tonight, and I appreciate the Seneca Nation members for coming to our meetings to enlighten us about your community. I did volunteer, which I forgot I did, but I did volunteer to be on the task force. I don't know if there is any openings on there. I'm not an engineer, so I don't know what good I would do to your task force, but I'm a good listener. But maybe between Mayor Alio and Seneca President, if they invited the DEC commissioner to come down to one of your task force meetings, that might be a big plus on your part to let her know firsthand what we need. Maybe she might have some ideas to enlighten the committee. So I think that would be a good, I know if I invited her, she would say, who the hell are you? But if the mayor invited her or the president of the nation invited her, she might take a trip down here to one of the meetings. But if there's anything I can do, like I said, I'm a great listener, and I hope that this issue can get resolved in a matter of months, not years. Thank you.
Alderwoman Forney?
Yeah, and, just to echo my fellow councilman, but I do want to say I appreciate the history and the historical significance. I think that's really important. I appreciate the passion that you have brought every week, and I also do want to commend the young people who have come and shared their voice and have stood up for what they believe for now and for the future. And I think that's really important. I do want to say, I know we don't speak a lot when you're up here sharing your stories, but for myself, I've sat here, I've listened intently to everything that you've said. So I don't, I know that doesn't help in moving things forward, but I want you to know that we hear you all, and I appreciate everything that you've shared every week. So.
Okay, seeing none, I'll make a motion to adjourn. Could I get a second? Second by Alderman Anastasia. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?